early next week. But if you look at our tower cam, you can see on the bottom there's some raindrops. It's kind of nasty out this morning. I guess we need the rain in the area. If you're in the baseball and softball playoffs, you don't need the rain in the area. But I get why a lot of other folks need the rain in the area. And the Jaguars will, I got to believe, move inside here on this first day of rookie minicamp. Nobody on the field yet, but not slated to be out there for another little bit within the hour. And we have part of our Action Sports Shacks team over there as well. And this Action Sports Shacks team, tag team, is right here. Brent Austen Lane back at Strings Sports Brewery. And, last couple of times, really every time I think we've been out here, it's been a beautiful day. Open up the garage doors, go out on the back if you want. Not today. Just huddle inside, grab a drink, get some lunch. Doors open at 11 o'clock. Come on down, say hello, and get your weekend started on a kind of a miserable day in Jacksonville on a Friday.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to all the softball and baseball players. Sorry you guys are having to go through this right now, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm actually celebrating the rain a little bit in the crappy weather because it's going to cool down a lot for me tonight when I go to Rockville. So I'm very thankful that I'm not going to be sweating my you-know-what off in 95-degree temperatures the whole day.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
You know what's pretty wild is yesterday was, I don't know if yesterday was the hottest day of the week, maybe 95, 96, or 94. Like honestly, like I said this to Steph, we went for like a walk yesterday afternoon before the games, and I was like, this stuff just does not bother me. Because I was actually, I was watching like these guys, they were fixing a roof.
Okay.
And, what the roofers do is they'll wear it doesn't matter how hot it is because they don't want to get their skin exposed, right, to the sun.
Well, that and also when you're roofing, you don't want to put your arms like on the.
Well, good point. Yeah. And there's that too.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of everything going on, but they're really layered up.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're even hotter. Obviously, being on a roof in 90 degrees and 80 degrees and whatever degrees is hot.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think I could do that. Like the heat does not bother me. Now, it doesn't impact my body or whatever else. I'm sure everybody gets dehydrated and stuff. I'm not saying I'm immune to the heat. It just doesn't bother me, like at all. As much as like the cold would bother me. When I was up in Albany, New York, and I'm a New England guy, the cold bothered me more. Not like I could tolerate it.
Sure.
But down here, I don't care. Like, I don't mind sweating. If it's hot, it's hot. So what? Doesn't matter. Like, it's a weird deal. Like it was 90-something. My point is, I didn't feel like it was that hot yesterday.
Yeah, I'm the exact opposite. Like, I don't like it when it's like 95. I mean, I get it. It's Florida. It's what you sign up for, right? You take the heat, and then obviously wintertime, we're all celebrating because it's like 60 or 70 degrees. So I'm not necessarily complaining by any means, but it's not to me, it's not pleasant because I sweat a lot as it is. And having grown up, doing the whole landscaping scene back in college and everything, I had some pretty rough summers of, mowing lawns and weeds and sprinklers and all that stuff. And just, I think with, my Norwegian blood in me,
that's true.
Or at least half of Norwegian blood in me, I think I'm more conditioned to be in the cold than I am in the heat.
That actually is very true, right? I mean, that's probably the case.
Yeah.
I do feel a little like cold is okay by me. Like I can handle some of it, but I don't really love it. So I do feel a little soft sometimes around the cold. Mm-hmm. Some people, like my buddy, he can wear short sleeves when it's cold out. So I don't like being cold. Like you're probably like that. Like you can probably wear short sleeves at the cold.
Yeah. I mean,
I admire that.
Short sleeves in the cold. I mean, you got to keep that thermostat to like 71. You know what I'm saying? When I'm sleeping, probably go down to 68, 69. Like it's how I operate, man. What do you got in the Martineau household? Thermostat.
I think it's I want to say it's like 69, 70.
Yeah. Okay. So that's chilly. That's cold.
Yeah, I don't even know what room temperature. Good, but here's what happens. So, like, we'll have our in-laws in town, and they're in their 80s, and the father-in-law's 90. They're always cold. So, like, when they come, it does scoot up to, like, 73, 74.
Okay.
And you can feel it's amazing how, like, in a house like that degree, like, we've been saying it actually in the studios.
Yeah.
It's like, is it hot in here?
Yeah, for sure. Like, what you doing?
Yeah. And Nick in the daytime, is it hot in there again? Hopefully you're sporting your Tennessee stuff because last time you disappointed us. First time in years we've seen Nick without Tennessee gear on. But how hot is it in the studios today?
Actually not too hot today. I think the rain outside's cooled it off a little bit back here.
Yeah,
no, see, I'm convinced it's...
Let you down today.
Glad to hear it, Nick. I'm pretty sure this is kind of a conspiracy stemming from Brent and I when we kind of spoke out a little bit against some of the things that we didn't like about, like the company workplace, there's all the meetings and everything. I think they might have hit to that game and they're trying to smoke us out now. They're trying to keep us out.
Smoking us out.
They're trying to heat us out now.
Well, there's a story that I'm not sure you're fully aware of. I think you might be. Nick definitely isn't because he's kind of jumped in a little bit later. But where we are in the Action Sports Shack studios for this project and what we started in this homemade, if you will, thanks to Steve Sesnick and many others, operation. We actually were going to be in a different part of the building. But the reason why we were not in that part of the building is because we would have been right underneath the AC units, and it was too loud.
Oh, okay.
Now, I don't know if it would have been cooler because you're right underneath the AC
Brent,
units.
it would have been a lot cooler. Come on now.
But
that's science.
And by the way, we're exaggerating a little bit. It's not that hot in there, but I can't tell if I'm just getting fatter or I'm hot when I'm in that studio.
I mean, truth be told, I'm wearing a lot of darker colors when I'm in that studio just so I don't show all the sweat and everything.
You know what's funny is I think about the same stuff.
Yeah,
now, sometimes I don't give a dang.
Yeah,
but,
I hear you.
But I think about the same thing as well. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, live at Strings Sports Brewery, heading into the weekend. So come on out and hang with us. Again, it doesn't open until 11 o'clock here at Strings, and then your place to be all weekend. And I do think the weather's going to be very nice all weekend along. You mentioned all these jobs. Just a real quick thought on it. Your favorite... We've probably done this before, but what the hell? We'll do it again on a Friday. Favorite job that you had? Like you had some lawn jobs, you had some other things.
Yeah.
What was the one that like people would bet you did that, or and that was really fun?
I mean, honestly, like my favorite job was probably working at a golf course, and it was a private golf course, and I used to like wash clubs, and like I don't say it's my favorite job because like I don't care about golfing at all. But, like, I made so much money because it's literally all you have to do is, like, talk to people and, like, hey, how'd it go today? How'd you hit him today? And all that stuff.
And you're pretty good at that.
And then you get on the Packers. Yeah, I'm pretty sociable, man. I got that from my grandfather because, like, my grandpa owned, he owns, like, he used to own a bunch of acres of timber. And people used to always come to his sawmill to get logs and everything. So, like, in that process, he used to always hold court, inside of the cabin outside of the sawmill. So I kind of watched how he would, like, conduct business and, like, how he would kind of shoot the blank with people. And that's where I got it from. So, like, I kind of applied what he would do at the sawmill to, like, what I would do at the golf course, man. And, yeah, once again, a private golf course, a lot of money. People would give me some pretty good tips for just, washing their clubs and asking how their round went. So that's probably my favorite job because it was pretty easy.
That's good. Yeah. I had some interesting jobs, man. That's what I always think. I have to remind myself sometimes of that, like just the interesting jobs that I've had. Like I put sprinklers in one summer. That was cool, like in-ground sprinklers. And I don't even know. Like I think I could do it again. It wasn't that difficult. You learned a little bit about some of the stuff. So that was kind of cool, like in the summer. I mean, I used to work overnight shift, drive the forklift.
There we go. Blue-collar Brent coming at you.
That was blue-collar stuff, man. I've never been so, like I put the sprinklers in and other things. I've never been more dirty coming home at like 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning from that job. Because you're like in 130-degree trucks. Yeah. And you're lifting a lot of stuff with whatever on, I was back when I was strong like you. Or not ever like you, but but anyway, and then the best job ever, though, was valet parking.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, such a good job. Plus, Steph and my buddy Pat did it. So, like, we had a blast.
Coolest car you ever got to valet park?
Yeah, that's a good call. I didn't park the Ferrari because Pat wanted to.
Okay.
So I didn't do it.
Okay.
So I don't even know.
Honestly.
Like it was a lot of like whatever the BMW series that time was probably was like. And I had to. I'm not a car guy so much, which is kind of funny, ironic. But Pat was, or is, and so he would be the one telling me like what everything is.
Gotcha.
So I don't really have like a highlight moment from that. I know we just parked a lot of nice cars.
Okay.
It was a good. It wasn't like this super ritzy place.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was higher up enough.
Did you drive stick to them too?
Oh yeah. I learned how to drive on a stick.
Nice.
So like Steph couldn't do that. She didn't know how to. So I had to take all those.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that was fun.
Sticks were good too.
Yeah, it was good. It was, like overall, I don't remember sitting there saying, "Oh my gosh, I made so much money." It was just fun because like the three of us were doing that, and we had to run now. Like it was like a quarter mile like away. So you were hustling.
Yeah.
When it got busy. Yeah. Place called the Grappa.
The Grappa. Okay.
In Providence.
Okay.
So yeah, that was kind of fun. Maybe send us in. What's the most unique job you've had along the way? And a shout out to those that have all the unique jobs.
Yeah.
And the good stuff. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane. Jags do have a rookie minicamp today. The Action Sports Shacks team, Olivia Tassley, Marcel Robinson, they'll be down there as well. So we'll have that for you tonight on the TV side. It doesn't really fit the window of the show today. They'll be on the field and practicing, but we won't have the post until after practice around 1:30. So we'll have that for you on TV, CBS 47, Fox 30, and all weekend long. We'll have several reports. But we should hear from Brian Thomas Jr. We will hear from, I think, Mason Smith. We've put the request in for him. And an interesting person, I think that's going to talk today, but an interesting person in this whole draft class, really. Like, that's probably the name being thrown around a lot that usually you wouldn't really hear so much about, is Matt House. He's a guy from LSU that was a defensive coordinator, and that comes with they weren't very good on defense. I know people are saying that, but the bottom line is now he's on the Jags coaching staff. They go get two defensive players, 3 players from LSU. And he's got like an inch, at least for the moment. Like, I don't think he's going to be like a guy we're talking about in September and October and everywhere else. But for the moment, he's kind of an interesting factor to go along with some of the other hires that they made with connections, like those from Josh Allen and on that defensive staff. And they had players in mind. They had personalities in mind. They had people in mind. They used the relationships, it looks like, to assemble part of the staff and team together. Not all, but some.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really curious, when Matt House speaks exactly how they envision, their 2 guys, at least on defense from LSU, fitting this defense here. Because, and we've spoken on this a little bit before, but when you have a former coordinator or a former position coach from a college, and then obviously he goes on to the NFL, and then, you draft some of his guys, like, I guarantee Matt House was grilled about the players coming in. And I think, Brian Thomas Jr. as well. I mean, what better way to find out who a player is, his personality, what he can bring to the table, how they can fit your team, than a guy that spent a lot of time with these gentlemen. So I'm very curious to see in terms of what he has to say about them. I think he knows them better than anybody right now. So, yeah, I mean, I was talking about 3 draft picks and 3, two highly, picked draft picks, and then another one that kind of slid a little bit, but still hopefully going to contribute. You want to hear what he has to say about him?
Yeah, I think that it's pretty interesting. How much is that important? Like, if the Jags didn't have any of these relationships, like those connections, would it matter? I mean, nowadays you're going to have the coaching tree. You go all these stops, so you can like create some lineage to players and programs and everything else, right? That part makes sense to me. So I think you're probably on every staff. You probably have a coach or player that interacted some way. I mean, if you were in the college game at all, you probably recruited some of these guys out of high school.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I mean, so there's always a little bit of that, and I think Brian Thomas maybe it was Mason Smith that referenced that as well. Relationship, not from a coaching staff, but being recruited out of high school with one of the coaches, and so that part makes sense to me. I don't know what it means. I don't really know the significance of it, other than a little background check and a little familiarity, which never hurts anybody.
Yeah.
I just think it might be one of those things that happens. I don't. On maybe a lot more teams than I know. Like, if we didn't have this cross-reference, if we didn't have this tie, like, it wouldn't change the way I feel about anything, I guess is what I'm saying.
No, and that's the same thing as well. But once again, I think, the ties can definitely help you gauge a player a little more, and one could say maybe they reached for Mason Smith a little bit, So I think when we have those conversations, well, maybe what his former coordinator, had to say about him was the thing that put you over the edge, the thing that kind of brought Mason Smith here. So once again, I'm very excited to hear what he has to say in terms of what he saw from his players in LSU and how he expects them to go forward now in Jacksonville.
Well, and let me just go one more time on that, just piggyback one more thing. Like, I don't know what the significance of the Jaguars going to get people from the college game. Like, I haven't really nailed that down.
Okay.
But they did. Like, they actually went and got running backs coach and Matt House and a lot of ties to the college game on this staff, on that defensive staff, as they were adding to it. That's not I shouldn't say it's unusual, but it doesn't feel like it's usual. It feels like the NFL is such a coaching fraternity that everybody, you got to come from somewhere. I get it. But usually, the veteran coach like Doug Peterson, you're going to lean on it. Now, if it was like a Brian Callahan, although that's a bad example because his dad was in the league, so he has a lot of ties. But if you're like a younger coach getting in the game, like, I could say you might have to go raid the college game a little bit, right? Maybe you don't have as stronger ties. But do you see the significance of that? Is there something to that? Why are they doing that?
I mean, I just think you're talking about guys that are used to, like, it's just younger guys coming up now. You know, I mean, there's a reason why Bill Belichick, and he got roasted for it nonstop at the Tom Brady roast. There's a reason why Bill Belichick doesn't have a job right now. There's a reason why Mike Vrabel doesn't have a job right now, because they have old school philosophies. And I think the more coordinators now and the more, position coaches that you're pulling up from the college ranks who seem to be a little more of like that new school kind of feel, I think that's going to, correlate to a locker room as well. So I just think of, in terms of where locker rooms are going now, the direction that they're going, people are trying to get younger at the coaching position, and they're trying to get more, what's the
relative?
Yeah, exactly. Relative to, the younger slash modern NFL athlete.
Yeah. And I will say this, and I wonder this, and I don't know this, but when you do that, you could find some diamonds now.
Yeah.
Like maybe you find some stars. Like I know right now, like Press Taylor's not like the guy that's the toast of the town in Jacksonville, which I think is, again, we can debate that. But I think guys like Press Taylor are people like that look like they're on a fast track to eventually be a head coach. Like that's what happens around the National Football League. That happened with the Sean McVays and other people. Like those are good guys to find. That, and I like that because I like the new blood. And so maybe you do find like these guys coming from the college game, whether it's Matt House or somebody else. Yeah. That is, that's the next guy. Like that's, I guess, when you do that, when you go get someone from outside the mold of the NFL. There's less of a book on them, and that could be good or bad.
No, it can be, good or bad, but also I just think it helps having Matt House there to kind of, I think as a player, when you go to, and it helps you have former teammates on a team as well. So like that's one thing, but as a player, it helps to go from the college ranks and have a, familiar face there at the next level in the NFL. And that's what Matt House is for a couple of these draft picks now. So I think it's only going to be a good thing, for the Jaguars, and hopefully, Matt House can kind of look after the guys a little more, make sure they're on the right and narrow, and hopefully they're not betting with Jaden Daniels $10,000 for Offensive Rookie of the Year. You see that?
I didn't.
Oh, yeah. Malik Neighbors and Jaden Daniels have a bet who's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year for $10,000. Problem is, that might violate an NFL betting policy.
I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah, man. It was Jaden Daniels said it on a podcast.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so there's a bet going around between Daniels and Neighbors that whoever gets Rookie of the Year gets $10,000. And obviously that could violate some NFL betting things. Needless to say, Brian Thomas Jr. did not find himself in that conversation. Should I be offended? Because, well, he could be Offensive Rookie of the Year. Maybe, but at the same time, I'm glad he's not in that spotlight right now.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let's just break that down. Like, don't say that, Jaden Daniels. But like, that can't be a violation. Do you think it will be? I'm sure there are conversations about it. Like, I get that, but
yeah,
that's not going to get him in trouble, is it? I mean, there are so many side bets within locker rooms and things like that. That'd be going down a heck of a rabbit hole.
I mean, how much? Yeah, but what did the guy from the Lions do again? He made a bet in the locker room? He made a bet
on an app. Like, okay. I mean, if this is a file that, like, again, I didn't even see this, so I'm trying. I don't want to be too dramatic about it, but you can't go. The NFL can do whatever they want, but I just don't think this was here's a bet slip from Vegas, right? Here's a bet slip from FanDuel. Here's a bet slip from wherever. That's different when the Lions and Jameson Williams and other guys have done it. Like, they've actually like put bets in on games. Like, this is a little side friendly bet. Like, who doesn't do that? Like, you know how much that happens around the National Football League? Like,
no, for sure.
Probably every player that's ever played to some degree. Maybe not $10,000, maybe not publicized. In fact, they try to keep them quiet, and usually they hide behind, wear my team's hat when our rival plays. You don't think there's a little bit more exchange on some of those?
No, with that, I mean, listen, this could all be some kind of, in correlation with DraftKings. Like, maybe this is like a DraftKings thing where Neighbors, who knows? Like, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, but I just caution sometimes, like, hey, guys have gotten in trouble in the past for betting before. Yeah. So last thing I would do if I'm a rookie in the NFL is go on a podcast and say, by the way, I have a $10,000 bet going with another player in the league who's not on my team.
Yeah, that was not smart. That's not a smart move. Like, I get the spirit of it, but I don't think that's a smart play. A lot of Rockville chat.